Getting to know plastics and plastic waste pollution. Plastic waste pollution is the accumulation of plastic objects found in the Earth's environment that adversely affects wildlife, habitat, and humans. It also refers to the percentage of plastics that isn't recycled and ends up in the landfill or an open dumping site. These plastics eventually find its way to the environment through wind, rain, or other routes, and therefore polluting our oceans and causing damage to other ecosystems. Most of what we consume is made of plastics. Just look around. But unfortunately, plastic takes a really long time to degrade, around 400 years or more, which is due to its chemical structure, which then presents a great challenge. But how much plastic is there in the world actually? If we go back to history, around 6 decades ago, mass production of plastics began and have accelerated ever since that it has created more than 8 billion tons of plastics, with over 90% of it not being recycled. And by the year 2018, approximately 380 million tons of plastics is produced worldwide every year. But our planet can't cope with this amount of plastics polluting the environment. So global calls to reduce plastic pollution and consumption have increased in the recent years. But what are the prime causes of plastic waste? Well, first, plastic as we know is considered cheap and also readily available for various uses. And second, the growing of human population and urbanization, which leads to higher demand for plastics consumptions, have also contributed to the generation of plastic waste. Third is a throwaway mentality that we have while using plastics. And fourth is again the fact that plastics can take over 400 years to decompose.
Laws and policy in plastic waste. EU Parliament banned single-use plastic. In 2019, the Parliament approved a new law banning single-use plastic items. 560 MEPs voted in favor of the agreement with EU ministers. 35 against and 28 abstained. The following products will be banned in the EU by 2021. Single-use plastic cutlery, single-use plastic plates, plastic straws, cotton bud sticks made of plastic, plastic balance sticks and oxo-degradable plastics, and food containers and expanded polystyrene cups. Member states will have to achieve a 90% collection target for plastic bottles by 2029, and plastic bottles will have to contain at least 25% of recycled content by 2025 and 30% by 2030. Malaysia's policy on plastic waste. For the construction of recycling plant solid waste. The construction of recycling plant solid waste is subjected to the Environmental Quality Prescribed Activities Environmental Impact Assessment Order 2015. Under Activity 14B Second, any person who intends to carry out the activity is required to submit a report on the EIA to the DG of Environment for consideration, as mentioned under Section 34A of the Environmental Quality Act 1974. Premises allowed to import plastic waste. The Department of Environment only allows premises that fully comply with Environmental Quality Act 1974 to import plastic waste to be recycled at their premises. Plastic waste is a controlled item under the Solid Waste and Public Cleansing Management Act 2007, Act 672, by the Department of National Solid Waste Management, DNSWM. The importation of plastic waste under the HS Code 3915 is controlled under the Custom Prohibition of Import Order 2017, which the import manner required an approved permit from the DNSWM. DOE, as the focal point to the Basel Convention, has transmitted information to the Secretariat of the Basel Convention on the controlling of plastic waste that required special consideration, an example, approved permit requirement when subjected to transboundary movement. Malaysia's initiatives in tackling plastic waste. Roadmap towards Zero Single-Use Plastic 2018 until 2030 by Mastec. the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, and Environment and Climate Change had launched a roadmap towards zero single-use plastic 2018 until 2030. The Phase 1 of roadmap included a nationwide charge on plastic bags and to only serve plastic straws upon customer request. Early 2019, a nationwide ban on plastic bags was introduced and a charge of 20 cents is imposed on their usage. The year 2020 would kick off with a nationwide ban on plastic drinking straws. All these steps are a push in the right direction in achieving the vision of abolishing single-use plastic by 2030. Phase 2 of the roadmap, which spans from 2022 until 2025, Mastec plans to significantly increase the expansion scope of biodegradable and compostable plastic products for local use by providing R&D funding on alternative eco-friendly products. In this phase, the federal government also intends to impose a pollution levy on manufacture on plastic bags.
Let's now talk about the case studies that are related to plastic waste in Malaysia and globally. Our first case study is about plastic waste imports in Malaysia. Most developed countries export their plastic waste because to achieve the recycling rate targets, reduce the waste in the landfill, and incapacity to manage growing amount of plastic waste in circular and sustainable waste. So they export the plastic waste mostly to Asia for recycling purpose. Also, because it's cheap, plastic waste has economic value in Asia countries, and rules and regulations in Asia are less stringent. The larger export of plastic waste mostly come from the European Union countries, the US, and Japan. In 2017, before the ban announcement, China received 7.3 million tons of plastic scrap from these countries. In 2018, after 3 decades well known as the largest importer of plastic waste, China announced a ban on imported plastic waste. As a result of the China ban announcement, the number of plastic waste in China is reduced, while plastic waste around Southeast Asia fluctuated, and Malaysia became one of the largest importers of plastic waste. According to Greenpeace, in the first 7 months of 2018, the amount of waste that has been exported from the US to Malaysia is more than double compared to previous years. Why Malaysia accepts plastic waste? The reason why Malaysia accepts plastic waste is because of economic and environmental benefits. For the economy, plastic waste is worth 3.5 billion ringgit a year, creating about 3,000 jobs and attracting foreign direct investment. It also creates business opportunities in sectors like logistics, legal, accounts, and insurance. The industry brings environmental benefits, like reducing the waste that goes to landfill and energy used in the manufacturing. However, the massive plastic waste also can give bad impacts on human and environment. The massive plastic waste cause improper storage and treatment, and this lead to dirty household, more illegal dumping site, cause air, water, and soil pollution, and create other problems as not all the imported mixed plastic waste can be processed. Also, some plastic waste was burned openly, and it can generate new hazardous chemicals and affect human health such as difficulties in breathing. Improper storage and treatment also release hazardous chemicals into the local environment, and these chemical contaminants that remain in our environment have the possibility to enter our food chain. Also, plastic waste can cause illegal shipment. In 2019, there are illegal shipments of plastic waste to Malaysia with no AP. DOE took over 79 cases of illegal shipment involving 198 containers from 14 consignees and 12 countries. Action that have been taken by the government to overcome the illegal shipment. Tighten the AP condition and more stringent check. Malaysia also committed to sending back all containers of plastic waste that are not complying with domestic legal requirements and the Basel Convention. And up June 2019, 155 illegal recycling facilities has been shut down. Hopefully, the government will set a limit on the amount of plastic waste that enters our country to avoid this situation from repeating and reducing the impact of massive plastic waste.
Case number 2 is on COVID-19 plastic waste. Ever since the emergence of COVID-19, we can tell that the world has changed. Wearing a face mask is now the new norm. Over the year 2020, many countries have made the wearing of face masks in public as compulsory, and failing to do so may result in penalty. For example, in Morocco, the penalty consists of being sentenced in jail for as long as 3 months and a $130 fine. Social distancing, or sometimes referred to as physical distancing, is another new norm. And according to WHO, we need to keep a minimum of 1 meter distance to other people to reduce the virus infection. And now we can find social distancing policies implemented in many public spaces. And also not to forget lockdowns and movement restrictions. In April 2020, it was estimated that 50% of the whole world population have been ordered somehow by their government to just stay at home, work at home, pray at home, and everything at home as much as possible. With all of that has been going on, realize it or not, we are currently faced by one more environmental threat, adding up to the list of threats we've already had. Did you notice? Yes, the intensive use of plastics during the COVID-19 pandemic, and here is the breakdown of how. First, face masks are now used on a daily basis by almost everyone, and for those doing high-risk activities such as healthcare workers, they even have to wear a full set of PPE consisting of face masks, gloves, gowns, and sometimes other additional protection stuff. Meanwhile, most of these PPEs are made using a plastic material called polypropylene. The material was formulated and chosen specifically for its characteristic to fit the function of PPE. So they are definitely easily disposable, most of the time single-use, and act like plastic. With that situation, every day generation of plastic waste derived from PPE is expected to increase. Although very little data on this is known, we can estimate the increase from the reports of its production. Hear this one out. In February 2020, China's production of single-use face masks reached 12 times more in quantity than in usual days. And that's just in China. Many other countries most likely also experienced the same trend. Just imagine. But then, what else apart from PPE? It's something that you might not realize. Second, the stay-at-home policies actually shaped us to form another new behavior. And that is a tendency to shop online, whether it be for grocery, fashion, home living, or even food. A survey on online consumers in 9 different countries shows that more than 50% of these consumers admitted to shop online more frequently during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. More frequently. Of course, online shopping is not a brand new thing, but as a trend suddenly escalated very quickly, it's concerning. So what might be the problem here? In the economic side, this trend has helped many business owners to maintain their business despite the restriction. Yet on the other side, it's also unfortunate the fact that many single-use plastics are used in the process of delivery. Plastic bags, plastic box, and bubble wraps are among the most commonly found in delivery packages. Therefore, through online shopping trend, more plastics waste have been generated, and that's the breakdown of how COVID-19 measures on the other side have resulted in alarming amount of plastic waste.
The next case is ocean plastic pollution. Our ocean is the largest ecosystem and it is the planet's life support system. It provides the air that we breathe, ensures the climate regulation and also transportation through shipping. It also contributes to our economy through tourism, recreation, and most importantly is that the marine life is one of our source of food. Every year, about 8 million tons of plastic waste escapes into the oceans from coastal nations. That's the equivalent of setting 5 garbage bags full of trash on every foot of coastline around the world. Billions of plastic is found covering about 40% of the ocean surface. It is expected to outweigh all the fish in the sea by 2050. Millions of animals are killed by plastics every year. From birds to fish and other marine organisms, most of the deaths to animals are caused by entanglement or starvation. Seals, whales, turtles, and other animals are strangled by abandoned fishing gear or discarded six-pack rings. Plastic has become more durable as more additive is added to make it more stronger. Due to that, it takes at least 400 years to break them down. However, broken down plastic will create microplastics. If it disperses deeper into the sea and invade the habitats, it will be impossible to retrieve. Most of the plastic trash in the ocean flows from land, carried to sea by major rivers that act as conveyor belts, picking up more trash as they move downstream. Once at sea, most plastic trash remains in the coastal waters, but once caught up in the ocean currents, it can be transported around the world. Whales are vital components to stabilize the marine ecosystem and plays a significant role in global cycling of environmental resources like carbons and nutrients. They can help to face global warming and climate change crises. A major contributor to this cycling is the production of whale feces. By consuming matter in deep and nutrient-rich waters, whales help mix the mixed water column and spread essential nutrients like iron and nitrogen to various marine layers. The figure shows the whale pump process that helps sustain life on Earth and help fight climate change. Firstly, the whale feeds at depth, and then it will come to the surface to breathe. When at surface, it will release its feces, and through photosynthesis, phytoplankton absorbs nearly a third of human-generated carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Phytoplankton then releases oxygen for humans to breathe. The whale pump process creates a thriving ocean habitat. Even in death, whales continue to support marine ecosystem. Their carcasses sink and provide an abundance of nutrients that support deep-sea life. Globally, more than 240 wildlife species are known to die due to ingesting tons of plastic. In year 2019, researchers has found a weak-looking whale vomiting blood and died shortly after at Davao Gulf, Philippines. After a necropsy, more than 88 pounds of plastic burst out from its belly. In 2018, a whale was found stranded and died on Murcian coast, southern Spain. The cause of death is due to inflammation of its abdominal tissue caused by 60 pounds of indigestible plastics. So what happens to the ocean if the whale dies? If the whale dies, it will break the food chain. The collapse of ocean biodiversity most likely then leads to the extinction of human species. The reality is that there are simply not enough fish to feed the expanding human population. How to contribute in tackling the plastic waste problem? Firstly, we can take our own reusable bags when going to the store instead of getting plastic shopping bags. Based on the research, 1 trillion of plastic bags are used worldwide every year and 100 billion in the United States alone. Secondly, if you already have plastic bags, don't throw it away. You can always reuse them for other purposes. Other than that, invest in a refillable water bottle is also another way to reduce plastic waste problem. When using our own bottle, we need not to worry about the water quality. Next is, we can always buy something that comes with less to no plastic packaging. For example, we can buy bar soap instead of liquid and buy it in bulk. Avoid produce shithead and plastic, and while you're at it, avoid using plastic plates and cups as well. Moving on, skipping straws is another good effort in tackling plastic waste problem. If you need to drink your boba, you can always invest on reusable metal, glass, and silicone straws. Lastly, it is important to practice in recycling plastic waste and help make it worthy again. In Germany, people get paid for recycling their own plastic waste. Other countries can use the same initiative as well to attract people to recycle more. Currently, even in rich countries, the recycling rates are low. Globally, only 18% of all plastic is recycled. The question is not whether if it's possible to eliminate plastic waste. The real question is what are we willing to do to make that happen, because every small effort counts.